Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're focusing on the financial strategy of Michael Jordan. Now, everyone knows him, greatest basketball player ever, the icon of winning.
Absolutely. 6 rings, the highlights.
Yeah.
They're legendary.
Right. But here's the thing that really sets him apart, the hook. He made, what, just over $90 million during his entire NBA career?
Yeah, that number is key context because Forbes in 2025 puts his net worth at $3.5 billion.
$3.5 billion is just staggering.
It is. And what's really wild is that, something like 95% or more of that, it wasn't earned playing basketball.
Yeah.
Not making those fadeaways.
So that's what we're doing today. We're digging into the sources, the deals, the investments, the mindset, really, that took him from NBA superstar to, well, you have to call him a financial goat. It's a totally different playbook.
Exactly. Forget the highlight reels for a minute. We're looking at the strategic choices, the actual decisions that built this empire. We're trying to decode, basically, the blueprint for turning athletic fame into serious generational wealth. The big question is, how did he make that leap? From earning a salary, even a huge one, to building something based almost entirely on ownership, on equity.
Right. Okay, let's start unpacking that with maybe the single most important financial move in, sports history, the 1984 Nike deal.
Ah, yes, the origin story.
It gets told as, just signing a contract, but the details there are everything.
It's fascinating because the money up front, by today's standards, almost sounds small. It was a 5-year deal, $2.5 million total.
Pocket change for a top athlete now.
Right. But the real genius wasn't the signing bonus.
It was that one clause. The crucial bit, the thing we really need to focus on. Jordan got a percentage, a royalty on every single shoe sold with his name on it.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just a flat fee, cash the check and you're done. This tied his brand directly to Nike's sales volume forever.
And that single decision. Probably one of the most profitable royalty agreements ever made.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Huh.
You fast forward to now. The Jordan brand, it's basically a giant company within Nike.
How giant are we talking?
Well, in 2023, it reportedly generated over $6.59 billion in revenue for Nike in 1 year.
$6.59 billion? That's what, nearly 70 times his entire playing salary every single year?
Pretty much. It's mind-blowing.
So, okay, what does that number mean for MJ personally, for his bank account?
Well, the exact percentage is obviously kept quiet, but analysts generally estimate it's around 5% in royalties.
5% of over $6.5 billion.
Do the math. It translates to a personal payout somewhere north of $150 million per year.
Wow.
And remember, he retired from playing in 2003. He's making more now per year than almost any current athlete.
Okay, here's where it gets really relevant, I think, especially for anyone in the creator economy today. The aha moment.
Yeah.
He didn't try to build the whole shoe company himself, right? He didn't get bogged down in manufacturing or distribution. He figured out his value was the story, not the supply chain.
Exactly. He monetized the meaning around his name, not the logistics.
Yeah.
He let Nike handle all the hard operational stuff, inventory, factories, shipping, all that headache.
Mm-hmm.
While his name just became this automated income stream. It scales with culture, with demand, without him lifting a finger on the factory floor.
So the lesson for, say, a YouTuber or an influencer today is owning the story, licensing your identity. That can be way more powerful than trying to manage inventory.
Absolutely. You don't necessarily need to sell the thing. You need to sell the story people want to connect with, that feeling of excellence.
Yeah.
And by taking equity, the royalty, instead of just cash up front, he guaranteed his wealth would grow long after he stopped playing. It compounds.
Which kind of leads us nicely into his second big masterstroke, ownership, actually owning the team.
Right, the Charlotte Hornets.
For over 10 years, he was the first black majority owner of an NBA team. He bought the majority stake in 2010 for, what was it, around $180 million.
Yeah, estimated around $180 million. And you remember, the team wasn't exactly setting the league on fire.
No, they were struggling. Critics were pretty loud about the team's performance under his ownership.
Definitely. But he was clearly playing a much longer game. This was pure financial patience. Strategic timing 101.
What was the strategy there, beyond just hoping they'd win more?
Well, a few things. He quietly upped his ownership stake over time. He worked on stabilizing the business side. But maybe the most important factor, he benefited massively from the macro tailwinds lifting the entire NBA.
Okay, hang on. Macro tailwinds. Can you break that down a bit? What does that mean in this context?
Yeah, sure. The biggest one was media rights. Around the mid-2010s, the NBA signed these enormous new TV deals, nationally and internationally, plus global expansion really took off.
Ah, so the value of every team just inflated massively.
Exactly. It didn't matter so much if your team was winning championships or struggling. The value of owning an NBA franchise just skyrocketed. So Jordan held an asset that, okay, maybe wasn't performing great on the court, but the rising tide of the league's value lifted his boat a lot.
Right. And then came the big exit, 2023.
The sale, yeah. He sold his majority stake in a deal that valued the whole team at roughly $3 billion.
$3 billion from a $180 million buy-in.
Yep. Just think about that return on investment. It's easily one of the most profitable ownership sales in sports history.
But the really slick move, the thing that shows the long-term thinking, is he didn't just cash out completely.
No, and that's key. It's that classic cash out but keep in approach. He kept a minority stake.
So he gets a massive payday, a huge liquidity event, turning the team asset into usable cash, but he still benefits if the team keeps growing in value.
Precisely. He gets the security of the cash, but keeps that equity upside. It's a move you see top tech founders make all the time. Exit at a high point, take money off the table, but keep some skin in the game for future growth.
Without the day-to-day headache and criticism of being the majority owner.
Right. So the real insight here isn't just about earning money or running a team well. It's about knowing when to sell, timing that exit, that liquidity event. That can be the biggest wealth creator of all, much bigger than just operational success year to year.
Okay, so we've seen the royalty machine with Nike, the ownership play with the Hornets. Let's look at his broader investment strategy, because it doesn't seem like he's just, chasing trends. No crypto, no random tech startups.
No, it feels much more deliberate. It seems like he invests based on what you could call his unfair advantage, sticking close to his own gravity. Sports, sure, but also culture, competition, premium brands.
Can you give some examples?
Yeah, look at the portfolio. It really feels like investing in identity. He uses his own brand almost like a catalyst. Take DraftKings.
The sports betting company.
Right. In 2020, he joins as a special advisor, gets an equity stake, undisclosed amount, but still equity.
But why does a company like DraftKings need Jordan as an advisor? Isn't it just a PR thing?
Well, yes and no. Remember, 2020 was right when legal sports betting was exploding across the U.S., state by state. It was a huge regulatory shift. The industry needed legitimacy. It needed mainstream acceptance, fast.
Ah, so Jordan brings instant credibility, like a seal of approval.
Exactly. His involvement wasn't just about ads. It helped normalize the whole sector, signaled trust. His equity stake is basically the reward for lending that massive cultural and, almost regulatory weight.
That makes total sense. He's actually changing the value perception of the asset itself.
Right. Then look at 23XI Racing, the NASCAR team he co-founded, also in 2020.
Interesting move. Different sport entirely.
Very different. But again, strategic. It wasn't just, I like cars. It felt like a cultural move, a demographic play. Entering a sport with room for disruption, signing Bubba Wallace, aiming for new audiences. It's a media play, really.
Yeah.
And diversification into another type of sports ownership ecosystem.
Okay. And then there's the lifestyle stuff, like Cincoro Tequila.
Yeah, launched in 2019 with some other NBA owners. And notice the positioning. Ultra premium.
Right. Some bottles are like, what, over $1,500?
Some editions, yeah. Over $1,600 even. This fits the pattern. Just like his steakhouses, Michael Jordan's Steakhouse. It's always top tier, luxury, experience driven. He's targeting that high-end consumer who pays for exclusivity and association.
So putting it all together, his presence isn't just lending his name for a fee. It's catalytic. He joins, and the value proposition of the whole venture changes.
That's a great way to put it, catalytic. He seems to build ecosystems around his name. He invests where his mere involvement fundamentally increases the asset's value or market position. He turns his fame, his brand equity, directly into market dominance.
That kind of precision, that focus, it implies a really strong long-term mindset. Betting on legacy, not just quick hype, requires incredible patience. I mean, the Hornets years must have tested that patience.
No kidding. And it goes way back. Think about that Nike origin story again. We see the massive success now, but back then, he didn't even want to meet with Nike.
Really? He wanted Adidas, right?
He desperately wanted Adidas. It was his mother, Dolores Jordan, who basically pushed him, said, just take the meeting. And that conversation led to, a $6 billion plus annual brand. It was a bet on Nike's vision over his own initial comfort zone.
That kind of discipline, that strategic thinking, it seems to apply to his public image too. Which brings us to that famous, or maybe infamous, quote from the 90s, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Ah, yes. That one always comes up.
It's often used to paint him as, well, apolitical or maybe even uninterested in social issues.
And it definitely drew a lot of criticism then and now. But if you look at it purely through the lens of brand building,
Right.
it reveals a very clear, almost ruthless code. Protect the brand.
Yep.
Avoid getting dragged into things that could alienate huge segments of your customer base.
So the goal wasn't activism. It was building a global, universally appealing brand above politics.
It seems that way. He seemed to prioritize the stability and the universality of the Jordan brand over making timely political statements. Right or wrong, it was a strategic choice to protect the asset he was building.
But couldn't that backfire, especially today when younger generations often expect brands and icons to take a stand? Doesn't that risk making the brand feel sterile or out of touch?
It's a massive risk now, absolutely. The landscape has changed. But his approach, back then, and perhaps even now to some extent, was about defining his lane very clearly. And look at the effect. His voice is rare. He doesn't comment on everything.
Which means when he does speak,
Everyone listens because it's scarce. That scarcity creates immense power. He controlled the narrative by not constantly reacting. He let his actions, his business moves, his playing do the talking. In an age where everyone broadcasts everything constantly, that kind of strategic silence, that long-term view, it's almost a form of rebellion. It protects the legacy.
let's give it one last time, maybe look at resilience. Because his path wasn't just smooth sailing. His fortunes seemed shaped just as much by overcoming setbacks as by the wins.
Absolutely. Think about 1993, the unbelievable tragedy of his father's murder.
And his sudden retirement to play baseball, the world thought he was lost, that maybe his career was just over.
Right. It looked like a breakdown to many, a flight from who he was. But looking back, especially financially and strategically, you could see it as a kind of reset. A painful one, obviously, but maybe it gave him perspective. Helped him realize basketball wasn't his entire identity, but it was his ultimate platform,
Yeah.
his leverage.
So he wasn't running away permanently. He was maybe recalibrating for the next phase, building the empire beyond the court.
That's one interpretation, yeah. And even the Hornets ownership, which, let's be honest, brought years of criticism and mediocre results on the court.
Yeah, he took a lot of heat for that.
He did. But again, look at the outcome. He held the asset through all that noise, through the underperformance. He absorbed the criticism, built the infrastructure quietly, and waited. Waited for the market peak, that $3 billion valuation, and then converted a decade of, frankly, struggle and scrutiny into an absolute financial windfall.
So that highlights maybe the final lesson here about building serious wealth.
I think so. It's not about avoiding failures or storms. It's about how you use them, turning setbacks, turning criticism, turning operational struggles into fuel, into strategic leverage. Jordan consistently seems to optimize for control, for timing, not for popularity or avoiding criticism.
None of this $3.5 billion feels accidental.
Not at all. He's wealthy, not just because he was great at basketball, but because he understood leverage, timing, and how to stay the course when things got tough. Knowing when to stand still, maybe, when everyone else is running for the exits or chasing the next shiny object.
Okay, so let's try to recap this blueprint. What are the core elements?
I'd say restraint as a form of leverage, using precision in his deals and investments, and incredible patience as a power play. He didn't just outwork people on the court. He seems to have outthought them in the boardroom, negotiated different terms for his entire career, really.
He didn't just accept the standard athlete endorsement model.
No, he fundamentally redesigned the financial structure of what it means to be a global celebrity athlete. He set it up so his wealth would grow based on his discipline and the almost unstoppable power of cultural equity compounding over time.
And maybe that's the ultimate takeaway. He never let basketball solely define him. He used the game, brilliantly, to build his name. And then he used that name to build a fortune that exists completely independently of the scoreboard now. It transcends the sport entirely.
Which leaves a pretty potent question for anyone listening, right? When you think about your own work, your own brand, your own career, are you just chasing the next paycheck, the immediate cash flow? Or are you trying to design something with real cultural equity, something that grows in value over time?
Are you working just to get attention right now? Or are you building something that earns deep trust? Something that gains value, even when, maybe especially when you choose to be quiet and strategic.
It makes you think.
It really does. The most powerful brand in the world. It might just be your own name if you figure out how to play the long game.